Yesterday, the Seahawks lost at home to the Giants 17-12, and the Giants were playing a backup quarterback, Colt McCoy. And on the interweb, a lot of people were saying, "Oh, biggest upset of the year. Oh, it's the biggest upset of the year. I mean, that is an unbelievable upset." And I'll say I would caution you to that because one of the things I like about the NFL over college football is Sundays are crazy all the time. The Steelers, and I was around to watch it, dominated the 70s, a true dynasty. The 49ers dominated the 80s, a true dynasty, and they got upset all the time. New England, the year they won the Super Bowl 2 years ago, were destroyed by Matt Patricia and the Lions in the same year. I don't think this was as big an upset as we think. The Giants have been in 8 straight close games. They've won 5 of 7. They're going to win their division and host a playoff game. And defensively, their defensive line is excellent, and Seattle's primary weakness is their offensive line. Now, it's an upset. But if you've been and I've been on this now for 2 months. When they were 1-7, I said, they remind me of Miami. And this is counterintuitive to what we think. But at the end of last year, Joy and I both said this. The Dolphins were better than New England. In the last 9 games, they were a better football team. And it's counterintuitive for a lot of you because this team the Giants started 0-5. They are a better football team than many of the teams that will make the playoffs. But this is more important to me. As a talk show host, and you never see political talk show hosts do this, that's why I just don't listen to most of them. As a sports talk show host, I think it's my responsibility to admit when I am wrong. It gives me credibility because nobody's right all the time in politics or sports. I thought Dave Gettleman, the GM of the Giants, was a goofball. I thought he was horrible in front of the microphone. I thought he was goofy. I thought he was completely out of his element. He did 3 things. I didn't like any of them. He hired Joe Judge. I'm like, what? He drafted Daniel Jones, 6th, and he traded OBJ. He was right on all of them. And by the way, I did like his Leonard Williams trade from the Jets. That I liked. But to show you the power of the Giants' culture, because Leonard Williams didn't suddenly get way better. Leonard Williams has more sacks this year for the Giants than he did 3 years for the Jets. That is about coaching and culture. And I got to be honest about it. I just didn't like the Daniel Jones draft. I didn't get the Joe Judge hire. There was a lot better coaches I thought more experienced. And the OBJ trade, I understood the criticism. But yesterday was just a great defensive team facing a Seahawks team with a bad O-line. It's now the Seahawks' primary weakness. Russell Wilson wasn't terrible, but he was sacked 5 times under duress. And this is a well-coached team. We spend a lot of time on this show criticizing winners that lose. Sometimes we have to give credit that losers that win. And this Giants team isn't a great team with a great record. But they won that game. They were clearly all day, 3.5 hours, the better team. There was never a moment in that game Seattle, I felt, was a better team on that Sunday. It was like, oh, Giants just, their defensive line is controlling Seattle's offensive line. Therefore, they're controlling the football game. And I got to admit when I was wrong, the Giants are formidable. Their GM, by the way, Gettleman, I thought had a very, very good draft as well. And I said that after the draft. I'm like, this is a pretty good draft. And I don't think this is all about the upset. I really don't. I think we're going to look back at this in 6 weeks if the Giants win a playoff game and go, that wasn't that big of an upset. You know, when Miami beat New England last year at the end, whoo, what an upset. This morning you're like, not much of an upset. Miami's good, and New England's okay. All right, let's talk Baker Mayfield. Why don't we? Oh, Colin, how did you not lead with this? So I'm going to give Cleveland a pass. So Cleveland got a huge lead. But in the second half, Cleveland was outscored 28-3. I'm going to give them a complete pass on this. Why? Because Cleveland led 38-7 at half. Cleveland doesn't lead anybody 38-7. Cleveland went into halftime. They went into the locker room. And the coach is like, guys, it's 38-7. And they're all like, we lead? They didn't know what to do in the second half because they'd never been there. I'm going to give Cleveland a total. New England, Kansas City, good Steelers go in big at half. They kind of know what to do. I'm going to give Cleveland a pass. They didn't know what to do. They've never been there before. And I got to say this, biggest win in Baker Mayfield's career, that goes without saying. But I want to say this, and let's add context. When you have the number one quarterback on a rookie contract, You should be winning. Russell Wilson got to 2 Super Bowls. Goff got to 1. Mahomes got to 1. Flacco and Cam got to 1. Because when you have a rookie, a top young quarterback, you're not paying him anything for 3 to 4 years. So you can go get free agents. What did the Browns did? They went and got a right tackle, Jack Conklin, elite right tackle. They couldn't afford that if they're paying Baker 30. They want to get Jarvis Landry's expensive. Austin Hooper. So when you could, this is what the Rams did with Goff. It's what the Chiefs can do with Mahomes before the contract. It's what you can do. If you've got a quarterback, you can load up. Right now, the Browns' offensive line, now this was before the game, was rated as a top 2 pass blocking line and a top 2 run blocking line. You can do that when you're not paying the quarterback anything. But the question has always been, we know Goff is mature. He's real quiet. We know Mahomes is. We know Russell is. Like, we know those guys are mature. The question is, when you have that young quarterback and he gets all that talent, he'll never have that much talent offensively the rest of his career because they're paying Baker nothing and Goff was getting paid nothing and Mahomes getting paid nothing and Russell nothing. Can you steer the ship? We know you're not experienced. We know you're young. We know you'll make mistakes. But are you mature enough and steady enough to just kind of move the luxury liner down the river? And I never thought Baker was. I mean, I picked the Browns to make the playoffs, but I never thought I'd see yesterday. That's what Goff looked like. First couple years, they'd have these games where, like, man, Rams got a lot of weapons. Mahomes got a lot of weapons. Mahomes is not going to have this many weapons in 2 years. He's not. They're not going to be able to keep everybody. You can't pay your quarterback $45 million. So this was a really nice moment for Baker. We've always known the ups and downs of Baker. But these are the moments when you get that franchise quarterback and you can go big into free agency at tight end and wide receiver and right tackle, and you can really spend some money on it. Is he just stable and mature enough to guide all this talent down the river? Just guide it to wins. And yesterday was the first time I watched Baker, and I thought, oh, he could win a playoff game. Baker could win a playoff game. It's been rocky to get there. A lot of stuff I didn't like. First time I watched him, I thought Baker Mayfield could win a playoff game. And I'm going to give him a pass for the second half because they've never led anybody 38-7 at half, and they didn't know what the hell to do. They had no idea what to do. Do we just run it? Do we pretend like we're in a close game? What is the next step? And this is going to be even harder for Baker and Cleveland because, they're feeling themselves today. Next month, you play Baltimore, Pittsburgh, and the Giants. Those defenses are good. And you can't shoot any more TV commercials. Can't go out late at night. Got to wear a mask. Got to be smart. Can't be cocky. Baker proved I can go on the road and win a big game. I can guide this ship like Goff did, Mahomes did, Russell Wilson did. But the difference, because of those 3 players' temperaments, that win wouldn't unravel them. Trent Dilfer has a great saying. He goes, you got to learn how to win in this league. Everybody loses the same. They're pissed, and they work really hard. He goes, not everybody wins the same in this league. Some guys win, they buy a new this, they buy a new that, they shoot a new commercial. So step 1's been accomplished. You can win a playoff game with Baker. Step 2 is, let's work twice as hard for Baltimore, Pittsburgh, and the Giants, because those are way better defenses than the Titans. That's the next step. That's what Mahomes did. That's what Goff did. That's what Russell Wilson did. Oh, win. Impressive. And Baker deserves credit for that. But they went to bed early, studied twice as hard. We're great the next week. Can Baker do that? We'll see. Hopeful. Not rooting against them. Don't root against good quarterback. I never root against young quarterbacks. This league is awful with bad quarterback play. I said before, I watched Baker a ton the first 2 years. When he started going downhill, I stopped watching and stopped talking about him. He wasn't as interesting. He just wasn't as good. If this is what I get from Baker, interesting, good, can win playoff games. Now let's just do it again and again and again and again, because now this is the second stage of it. You won, you shut people up, now work twice as hard this week. Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from The Herd or go watch a few segments from other shows on FS1.